Alright, good morning everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you guys for joining us. As you can tell, we've got my lovely assistant with me today again. She's here to help us out. First off, I'm just going to start this one off with a couple moments of silence for Mr. Charlie Kirk and the fact that he was killed for probably a very non-sufficient or very stupid reason. Sorry, unalived. So we're just going to take about 10-15 seconds. Put your head down. Just I know you're seeing it everywhere. Only reason this rings true to somebody like me is because it happened in my life. And so this is something that you guys inside of the natural world, only I want to say 1 to 2% of the people inside of the world will ever experience losing somebody to a violent crime. And it's a very horrifying thing to have to go through. And the reason why it's so bad to have to go through is because for the next 2 years or 3 years, his poor wife is going to have to relive that moment. His poor wife is going to have to go through courtrooms, go through cases as they find this guy and they get it all settled and done. And they're going to keep showing the story over and over again. It's going to become a beat up narrative inside this poor lady's mind, and I feel so bad for her. Yeah, and in case you're asking, yes, I did lose somebody to a violent crime inside of my life. So, I'm not speaking because I want to speak or I want to be heard by you guys or I'm trying to make some sort of fan point. I'm speaking because this is truth. If you want to know the whole story behind it, come into one of my lives one time and ask. But, we're going to get into a collective now. Yeah, see? Oof. Hold on. I gotta reset my mind here really fast, you guys. So, I'm gonna take a moment of silence here real fast. I just gotta reset myself. Alright, so I'll post that portion of that later. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in this morning. Thank you guys very much for coming in. Let's just go ahead and just have a positive collective. I know that everything that's going on is going to be a pretty weird day out there with people. So let's just see what's going on out there. This is a collective reading. Please take what resonates. Please don't try and make anything fit inside of your life. This is just a collective reading, guys. But if you do pick up guidance or anything from it, that's more power to you, because the story is always meant for somebody to hear. So, and if you like the reading and what I say, then go ahead and look me up and let's get a reading. Alright, so we got somebody out there that's still crying out. So there's somebody out there in the collective, guys, that's still not over it, still not over somebody. They're pretending that they're fine, but they're really sitting there crying it out at night. Or crying it out at some point during the day. So what that means to me is there's people out there that haven't done their shadow work. They're still hiding from their truths. And they're probably telling everybody that they're doing just fine. They've done their shadow work and they're doing everything that they need to do. Sorry guys, I'm just going to read this one out on another card. Yeah, they've been, yeah. So, man, this is bad. So they've been sitting there crying out, crying over somebody inside this collective, right? And and the sad thing is, they're sitting there crying over this person, and they're always out partying. They're always out, they're taking shots every weekend. There's no time. It's like, it's not a time for you. They want to party first and love later, right? But that came out in reverse. So they're crying over you because they feel that you would rather go out and party every night than be with them. So that's why at night, and then they pretend that they're fine when you probably talk to them about it. And this person probably has some pretty pushy energy. So this came out in reverse, right? Because they don't want to come in and like force their way in, but they want to try and figure out how they can get their way in there. And you're kind of, this came out like this, right? So whenever things come out in reverse and I'm reading out of this deck, for some reason I like to read it as the other person inside of the energy that we're dealing with, right? So it's how, this is how you're feeling, or the collective is feeling, and this is how the other person's feeling, right? So right now the other person is feeling like, I have a cat crawling across my stuff. Yeah, the other person feels like that, right? They can force their way through. They can walk right through your shit. They don't really care if they walk right through their stuff. And they're really unfazed about the fact that of what they're doing. They don't care. And you didn't flinch when it really came out to it, right? You can't shake them off. No matter what you do, you can't shake them off. Now they're starting to snoop around for your secrets, right? So you're trying to snoop around and figure out who this is. You're like, who is this person? Where is this coming from? How can I get them to stop doing this inside of my life? How can I get them to stop snaking through my life? Pretty crazy things, right? So let's see, let's get one more. So we got to make moves in silence, guys. So whatever you're planning or whatever you're doing, it's time to start making everything done in silence. You can't let people know what's going to go on. So that even comes down to like when you go to do things, like say you're going to take off on a trip, or say you're planning a trip. Plan your stuff in kind of silence and don't let people know till maybe like the very last minute.